An ordinary journey, an extraordinary turn. The terminal hummed with the usual energy of a Monday morning at JFK Airport. Business travelers sipped lukewarm coffee as they scrolled through emails. Families herded their children toward gates, and announcements crackled over the intercom. Among the sea of passengers, Marcus Brown was just another face, quietly flipping through a paperback as he waited to board Flight 372 to Chicago. His travel attire was simple: a navy hoodie, jeans, and sneakers that had seen better days. His outward appearance gave no hint of his background: a senior executive at one of the most influential firms in the country. The boarding process began, and Marcus found his seat near the window in row 12. He tucked his bag under the seat in front of him, leaning back to relax. It had been a whirlwind week of meetings, and this trip home was supposed to be a brief reprieve before diving into another set of challenges. As the cabin filled with passengers, he noticed a flight attendant watching him. Her gaze lingered just a little too long before she quickly looked away, her expression uncertain. Marcus shrugged it off, chalking it up to a moment of curiosity. Maybe she thought she recognized him, or perhaps it was just a routine scan of the cabin. He opened his book and settled into his seat, unaware that the next few moments would change his life. It started innocently enough: a polite, if awkward, request from the flight attendant. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, her tone betraying her unease. "May I see your boarding pass again?" Marcus handed it over, smiling politely. "Is everything okay?" She nodded but didn't meet his eyes. "Just a routine check." He found it odd but said nothing as she returned the pass and disappeared toward the front of the plane. A few minutes later, as the last passengers boarded and the plane prepared for takeoff, Marcus noticed two uniformed security officers making their way down the aisle. They stopped at his row. "Sir, we need you to step off the plane with us," one of them said, his voice firm but neutral. Marcus frowned. "Is there a problem?" The officer didn't elaborate. "Please come with us." Confused and a little embarrassed, Marcus rose from his seat. The other passengers watched as he grabbed his bag and followed the officers down the aisle. Some looked puzzled. Others whispered among themselves. A few avoided eye contact altogether. As Marcus exited the aircraft, the flight attendant who had checked his boarding pass stood by the gate, speaking in hushed tones to another crew member. She glanced at Marcus briefly, then looked away. Once in the terminal, Marcus turned to the officers. "Can someone please explain what this is about?" The older officer sighed. "The flight attendant flagged you for suspicious behavior, said you looked out of place." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Out of place? What does that even mean?" The officer hesitated before answering. She didn't give details, just said she felt uneasy. Marcus took a deep breath, his frustration mounting. "Uneasy about what?" "I went through security like everyone else. I showed my boarding pass. What more does she want?" The officers exchanged an uncomfortable glance. "We'll look into it," the older one said, clearly wanting to de-escalate. "You're free to rebook another flight if you like." "Rebook?" Marcus repeated, incredulous. No apology, no explanation, just rebook. The officers remained silent. As Marcus stood there, processing the surreal and humiliating experience, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out and saw a message from one of his colleagues at the office. "Big news. Board just finalized the decision. Congrats, Mr. CEO." For a moment, Marcus thought he'd misread the text. CEO. Of course, he'd been a strong candidate during the selection process, but he hadn't expected a decision so soon. And certainly not after the morning he'd just endured. He stared at the message, a wave of disbelief washing over him. 7 minutes ago, he'd been escorted off a plane, treated like a potential threat. Now, he was the newly appointed CEO of Horizon Airlines, the very company whose staff had just humiliated him. The irony was almost too much to process. Marcus stepped aside, leaning against a pillar as the reality sank in. He glanced back at the gate, where the flight crew stood, oblivious to who he was. They didn't know that the man they dismissed was now their leader. And perhaps, he thought, it was better that way. For now. He dialed a number, and a voice on the other end answered after the first ring. "Marcus, congratulations," said Robert Kane, the outgoing CEO. "I've already informed the board. The announcement goes live this afternoon." "Thanks, Robert," Marcus replied, his tone measured. "But we need to talk. I just had an experience that's, let's say, illuminating." There was a pause. "What happened?" Marcus hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Let's just say we have some work to do, and I plan to start immediately." "Understood," Robert said. "Let me know what you need." As Marcus ended the call, he felt a new sense of purpose rising within him. The humiliation of being removed from that flight wasn't just a personal affront. It was a symptom of a much larger problem within the company he was about to lead. Customer experience, employee culture, implicit biases, everything needed an overhaul. This wasn't just an opportunity to lead an airline. It was a chance to redefine what the company stood for. He straightened his shoulders and walked toward the airport exit, his mind already racing with ideas. If this was how his tenure as CEO began, then the story of what came next would be nothing short of extraordinary. The plan takes flight. Marcus Brown sat at the corner table of a quiet cafe near the airport, a steaming mug of coffee in front of him and his laptop open. His mind churned as he stared at the blank document on the screen. Every great transformation begins with a plan, he thought. But this wasn't just about strategy. It was about vision. What had just happened to him wasn't an isolated incident. It was a symptom of a larger cultural problem within the company he was now poised to lead. The past 2 hours had been surreal. After leaving the terminal, Marcus had decided to sit down and map out his first steps as CEO of Horizon Airlines. His phone had been buzzing incessantly with congratulations, press inquiries, and messages from the board. But Marcus had silenced it for the moment. He needed time to think. He reflected on the flight attendant's reaction earlier. The uneasy glances, the whispered conversations, and the baseless call to security. It wasn't just embarrassing. It was indicative of a deeper issue. "She saw me and assumed something," Marcus muttered to himself. But why? Marcus had always believed in the power of diversity and inclusion, not just as buzzwords, but as transformative principles. He had built his reputation on fostering innovation through collaboration, bringing people from different backgrounds together to create solutions that no single perspective could achieve. But Horizon Airlines, as he now understood, had been struggling with these values. The incident on the plane was a wake-up call. If this company wanted to survive in the competitive airline industry, it needed to evolve, and fast. He began typing. The flight path forward. Horizon Airlines 2.0. Redefining the customer experience. Horizon Airlines would no longer be known for outdated systems and mediocre service. Marcus envisioned a seamless journey for every passenger, personalized, efficient, and welcoming. This started with listening to customers. He jotted down ideas for a comprehensive feedback system, one that would allow passengers to share their thoughts at every stage of their journey. No more reactive measures. Horizon would anticipate needs and solve problems before they arose. Employee empowerment and training. The incident on the plane highlighted a glaring issue. Frontline employees lacked the training and support needed to make fair, informed decisions. Marcus resolved to implement a comprehensive training program focused on cultural sensitivity, problem-solving, and customer engagement. Every employee, from gate agents to flight attendants, would learn not only how to handle situations, but how to embody the company's core values of respect, empathy, and excellence. Leadership diversity. Marcus knew that real change started at the top. The company's leadership team didn't reflect the diversity of its employees or its customers. That had to change. Marcus made a note to prioritize hiring leaders from varied backgrounds, people who would bring fresh perspectives to the table. A diverse leadership team wouldn't just be symbolic. It would drive the innovation the company desperately needed. Technology overhaul. The airline systems were clunky, outdated, and often the source of customer frustration. Marcus envisioned a cutting-edge technological transformation. From a revamped mobile app to AI-driven customer service tools, Horizon would invest in technology that simplified travel and enhanced the passenger experience. He imagined a future where passengers could rebook a delayed flight with a single tap, receive real-time updates, and even have tailored recommendations for their destination, all from their phones. Transparency and communication. Trust was the cornerstone of any successful business. Marcus made a note to establish open lines of communication between leadership, employees, and customers. Regular updates, town halls, and a Voice of the Crew program would ensure that everyone felt heard and valued. Marcus leaned back in his chair, reading over the framework. It was ambitious, no doubt, but it was necessary. The airline industry was cutthroat, and Horizon Airlines couldn't afford to lag behind any longer. As he saved the document, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Claire Simmons, the head of the board's Public Relations Committee. Press is pushing hard for a statement. Are you ready to address what happened this morning? Marcus smiled wryly. He had been expecting this. The incident on the plane had already leaked to the media. The headline practically wrote itself. New CEO of Horizon Airlines removed from flight by his own staff. Marcus quickly typed a reply. Draft the release. Be honest, but let them know this is the start of something bigger. I'll address it directly at the press conference tomorrow. The next morning, Marcus stood in front of a packed room at Horizon Airlines headquarters. The press conference was being live-streamed, with reporters from major outlets tuning in. Marcus adjusted his tie and stepped up to the podium. The murmurs in the room quieted as he began to speak. Good morning, everyone. As many of you know, my name is Marcus Brown, and as of yesterday, I am the CEO of Horizon Airlines. Before we talk about the future, let me address what happened on that flight. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle over the room. Yesterday, I was removed from a Horizon Airlines flight. The reasons behind it are complicated, but let me be clear. What happened was unacceptable. Not because of who I am, but because no passenger should ever be made to feel unwelcome or unfairly targeted while traveling with us. The cameras clicked furiously as Marcus continued. This isn't just a story about me. It's a story about Horizon Airlines. It's a story about the changes we need to make to become the airline you deserve. Today, I'm committing to a complete transformation of this company. From the way we train our staff to the technology we use, to the culture we build, we are going to be better. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. The applause was tentative at first, but grew as Marcus outlined his vision for the company's future. He didn't shy away from the challenges ahead, nor did he offer vague promises. Instead, he laid out his plan with the same clarity and conviction that had earned him the board's trust in the first place. By the time he left the stage, Marcus could feel the shift in the room. The skepticism that had greeted him was starting to give way to something else. Hope. Back in his office, Marcus reviewed the initial responses to his speech. Customers were already sharing their stories on social media, using the hashtag #NewHorizon to talk about what they wanted from the airline. Employees were sending in messages of support, excited by the prospect of change. But Marcus knew this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be long and filled with obstacles. Competitors would capitalize on any misstep. Critics would scrutinize every decision. And within Horizon, there would be resistance from those unwilling to embrace the new direction. Still, Marcus felt a quiet confidence. He had faced challenges before, ones that tested his resilience and forced him to grow. This was no different. As he closed his laptop, Marcus glanced out the window at the bustling city below. This wasn't just about fixing an airline. It was about proving that transformation was possible, even in the face of doubt. Horizon Airlines wasn't just going to survive, it was going to soar. Turbulence within. The buzz of excitement following Marcus Brown's press conference lingered in the air for days, but Marcus knew better than to let it lull him into a false sense of security. Public support was a promising start, but true change wasn't built on applause. It was forged in the trenches of resistance, doubt, and hard choices. Sitting in the boardroom of Horizon Airline's sleek headquarters, Marcus faced the company's senior leadership team for the first time. The tension in the room was palpable. These were seasoned executives, many of whom had been with the company for decades. They had weathered crises, navigated turbulent markets, and steered Horizon through countless ups and downs. And now, here he was, the new CEO, promising to overhaul everything they had built. Marcus scanned the room, reading the body language. Some executives sat with arms crossed, their skepticism clear. Others avoided eye contact, nervously fidgeting with their pens. Only a handful seemed genuinely intrigued by the possibilities he had outlined at the press conference. He leaned forward, resting his forearms on the table. "Let me start by saying this," Marcus began, his voice calm but firm. "I know change is uncomfortable, and I know that some of you may not fully trust me yet. That's fair. I'm the new guy, and trust is earned, not given." He paused, letting the words settle. "But here's what I need you to understand. Horizon Airlines is at a crossroads. We can't keep doing what we've always done and expect different results. The world is changing. Our customers are changing. And if we don't evolve, we won't just lose market share. We'll lose our identity." One of the older executives, a grizzled veteran named Gerald Lawson, raised his hand. "With all due respect, Marcus, we've been through these cycles before. Every new CEO comes in with big ideas and grand promises. What makes your plan different?" Marcus nodded, appreciating the candor. "It's a fair question, Gerald. And here's my answer. I'm not here to impose change from the top down. I'm here to build it with you. This isn't about my vision. It's about our vision. Together, we're going to redefine what Horizon Airlines stands for. But make no mistake, change is coming, and we need to be ready to embrace it." Gerald's expression softened, though the skepticism didn't entirely disappear. Marcus knew it wouldn't. Not yet. The employee town hall. 2 days later, Marcus stood on the stage of Horizon's largest auditorium, facing a packed crowd of employees. The town hall was also being lit-streamed to Horizon's thousands of staff members worldwide. Marcus had insisted on addressing the entire company as soon as possible. If he wanted to inspire a cultural shift, it had to start here. He began by sharing his story. Not the polished version from the press conference, but the raw, unfiltered truth of what had happened on that flight. He described the humiliation, the confusion, and the realization that the incident was emblematic of deeper issues within the company. "What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone," Marcus said, his voice steady. "And I don't just mean passengers. I'm talking about all of you, our employees. For too long, this company has operated in silos. Decisions are made at the top without understanding how they affect the people on the front lines. That ends now." The room was silent, every eye on him. "I've already spoken to our leadership team about the changes we're making, but today I want to hear from you. What's working? What's not? What do you need from me to do your jobs better?" For the next hour, employees lined up at microphones to share their thoughts. Some spoke of outdated technology that made their jobs harder. Others vented frustrations about a lack of communication between departments. A few even expressed fears about the changes Marcus was proposing, worried about job security and the potential for upheaval. Marcus listened intently, taking notes and responding thoughtfully to each comment. By the end of the session, a sense of cautious optimism had begun to replace the initial hesitation. Resistance behind closed doors. Not everyone was on board with Marcus's vision, however. In the days following the town hall, whispers of dissent began to circulate among the senior leadership team. Some executives believed Marcus's approach was too radical, too risky. Others resented his emphasis on diversity and inclusion, viewing it as a threat to the old guard. The resistance came to a head during a heated executive meeting. Marcus had presented his plan to overhaul the company's customer service training program, which included mandatory workshops on cultural sensitivity and implicit bias. The initiative was met with pushback from several executives, including Gerald Lawson. "Marcus, I understand what you're trying to do," Gerald said, his tone measured but firm. "But do we really need to invest this much time and money into training? Our employees are already stretched thin. Adding more to their plates could backfire." Marcus looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each executive. "Gerald, I hear your concern," he said. "But let me ask you this. What's the cost of doing nothing? How many passengers do we lose because they don't feel valued? How many talented employees leave because they don't feel supported? We can't afford to ignore these issues." Another executive, a woman named Laura Chen, spoke up. "I agree with Marcus. If we want to build trust with our customers and employees, we have to start here. This isn't just about training. It's about creating a culture where everyone feels seen and respected." The room fell silent, the tension thick. Finally, Gerald leaned back in his chair and nodded reluctantly. "Fine. Let's see where this goes. Small wins, big momentum." Despite the resistance, Marcus pressed forward with his plans. He focused on securing quick, visible wins to build momentum. One of his first initiatives was launching the Voice of the Crew program, which allowed employees to submit ideas and feedback directly to senior leadership. Within weeks, the program had generated hundreds of submissions, many of which led to immediate improvements in operations. Marcus also made a point of visiting Horizon's key hubs, spending time with employees in every department. He helped load luggage onto planes, sat with customer service agents during stressful calls, and joined flight attendants during pre-flight briefings. These gestures weren't just symbolic. They were a way for Marcus to understand the challenges his team faced and to show that he was committed to walking the talk. The results were undeniable. Employee morale began to improve, and customer satisfaction scores showed their first significant uptick in years. Passengers started sharing positive stories about Horizon on social media, using the hashtag #NewHorizon to highlight the changes they were experiencing. The long flight ahead. But Marcus knew that these early successes were just the beginning. Transforming Horizon Airlines would require sustained effort, relentless focus, and the courage to make tough decisions. The low-cost competitor that had been siphoning away market share wasn't slowing down, and the airline industry remained as volatile as ever. As Marcus sat in his office late one evening, reviewing the latest reports, he felt a mix of exhaustion and determination. The journey ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but he was ready. For Marcus, this wasn't just about running an airline. It was about proving that change, real, meaningful change, was possible. And as he gazed out at the city skyline, he knew one thing for certain. Horizon Airlines was only beginning its ascent. Winds of resistance. The early days of Marcus Brown's leadership had sparked a flurry of changes, but every step forward seemed to expose new fault lines. Beneath the polished veneer of Horizon Airlines headquarters, resistance simmered. Some employees embraced Marcus's bold vision, but others clung stubbornly to the status quo, wary of the upheaval his ideas promised. The most significant resistance came from a faction within the senior leadership team, led by Gerald Lawson. Though he publicly supported Marcus's initiatives, behind closed doors, Gerald and his allies questioned nearly every decision. They doubted the feasibility of Marcus's ambitious plans, arguing that he was risking too much, too quickly. "Marcus, we need to be realistic," Gerald said during one particularly tense meeting. "You're pushing too hard. This industry isn't built for rapid change. We have to be cautious, incremental." Marcus, seated at the head of the conference table, remained composed. "Gerald, I understand your concerns," he said, locking eyes with the veteran executive. "But incrementalism won't save us. Our competitors aren't waiting for us to catch up. They're already moving ahead. If we want to lead, we have to act decisively." Gerald leaned back in his chair, his expression guarded. Decisively doesn't mean recklessly. No, it doesn't, Marcus agreed. But doing nothing is the riskiest move of all. The room fell silent. Marcus knew he hadn't convinced Gerald or the others who shared his mindset, but he wasn't about to let their hesitation derail his efforts. He had come too far, and the stakes were too high. The customer experience revolution. One of Marcus's first major initiatives, the overhaul of Horizon's customer service, was both a critical success and a lightning rod for criticism. The program, which included cultural sensitivity training and new tools to empower frontline employees, was met with skepticism from some quarters. "I don't see why we need all this," grumbled a flight attendant during a training session. "I've been doing this job for 20 years. Now you're telling me I've been doing it wrong." The trainer, a young woman named Carla, remained patient. "It's not about saying anyone's been doing it wrong. It's about giving you new tools to connect with passengers and handle situations more effectively. We want to make your job easier, not harder." Despite the resistance, there were also stories of success. One gate agent shared how the new training helped her de-escalate a tense situation with a delayed passenger. "Before, I would have just followed protocol and sent them to customer service," she said. "But this time, I had the tools to solve the problem on the spot. The passenger left happy, and so did I." These small victories began to add up. Customer satisfaction scores started to climb, and the hashtag New Horizon continued to gain traction on social media. Passengers shared stories of flight attendants going above and beyond, of smooth rebooking experiences, of feeling genuinely valued. For Marcus, these stories were proof that his vision was working, but he knew there was still much more to do. The meeting that changed everything. One evening, as Marcus prepared to leave the office, he received an email marked urgent. It was from Laura Chen, one of the few senior executives who had been an early supporter of his initiatives. The subject line read, "We need to talk. Now." Marcus immediately called her. "Laura, what's going on?" "There's a problem," she said, her voice tense. "I've been hearing whispers. Gerald and a few others are quietly lobbying the board. They think you're moving too fast and risking the company's stability. They're pushing for a vote of no confidence." Marcus felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He had expected pushback, but a no confidence vote. That was a direct challenge to his leadership. "Do they have the numbers?" he asked. "Not yet," Laura replied, "but they're working on it. You need to act quickly." Marcus thanked her and hung up, his mind racing. He couldn't afford to let this escalate. If the board lost faith in him, everything he'd worked for would crumble. But how could he address their concerns without compromising his vision? Rallying the troops. The next day, Marcus called an emergency meeting with his closest allies on the executive team, including Laura and a few department heads who had shown unwavering support. "We're at a critical juncture," Marcus began. "There's resistance building within the leadership team. If we don't address it head-on, it could derail everything we've worked for." Laura nodded. "We need to show them that the changes you're making are already yielding results. They're looking for proof, and we need to give it to them." One of the department heads, a data-savvy operations manager named Tom, spoke up. "What if we present a progress report to the board? We've already seen improvements in customer satisfaction, employee morale, and operational efficiency. If we can quantify those gains, it might turn the tide." Marcus agreed. "Let's do it. But we won't just rely on numbers. I want stories. Real stories from our employees and customers. Let's show them the human impact of what we're doing." The presentation. A week later, Marcus stood in the boardroom, flanked by Laura and Tom. The board members, including Gerald, sat around the table, their expressions ranging from curious to skeptical. Marcus began by addressing the elephant in the room. "I understand that some of you are concerned about the pace of change. You're worried that we're taking on too much, too quickly. But today, I'm here to show you that these changes aren't just necessary. they're working. He handed the floor to Tom, who presented a detailed report showing improvements in key metrics, a 15% increase in customer satisfaction, a 10% reduction in complaints, and a noticeable uptick in employee engagement scores. Next, Laura shared testimonials from employees and passengers. One story, in particular, stood out. A single mother who had been stranded due to a canceled flight. Thanks to the new training and tools, a Horizon agent had not only rebooked her flight, but arranged accommodations and meal vouchers, ensuring she and her child were taken care of. "This is the Horizon Airlines we're building," Laura said, her voice filled with conviction. Finally, Marcus addressed the board directly. "I won't deny that what we're doing is ambitious, but ambition is exactly what this company needs. The world is changing, and we need to change with it, or risk being left behind." As he finished, the room was silent. Then, one by one, the board members began to nod. Even Gerald, though still wary, seemed to soften. Turbulence ahead. The vote of no confidence never materialized. Marcus's presentation had bought him time and bolstered his standing with the board, but he knew this victory was only temporary. Resistance still lingered, and the path ahead remained fraught with challenges. As Marcus left the boardroom, he felt a mix of relief and resolve. The winds of resistance might blow stronger in the coming weeks, but he was ready. This wasn't just about saving an airline. It was about proving that transformation, no matter how turbulent, was always worth the fight. Above the clouds, Marcus Brown sat in his office late into the night, the city skyline glowing against the darkened horizon. The lights of the skyscrapers reminded him of the planes in the sky, constantly moving, navigating turbulence, but always pressing forward. Tonight, he felt a rare moment of stillness, though his mind raced with the challenges still ahead. The recent board meeting had solidified his position, but Marcus knew better than to grow complacent. The real work was just beginning. If Horizon Airlines was going to transform into the industry leader he envisioned, the changes couldn't just stay on paper or in PowerPoint presentations. They needed to take flight. The Innovation Initiative. One of Marcus's most ambitious projects was the Innovation Initiative, a program designed to overhaul Horizon's technology and operational processes. The initiative was centered on 3 pillars: efficiency, sustainability, and customer-centric design. To lead the charge, Marcus brought in a Chief Innovation Officer, Maya Patel, a dynamic leader known for her groundbreaking work at a major tech company. Maya had a reputation for thinking outside the box and challenging norms, qualities Marcus valued deeply. Their first task was to modernize Horizon's aging fleet. Many of the company's planes were reliable but outdated, consuming more fuel and requiring frequent maintenance. Marcus and Maya developed a long-term investment plan to replace the older aircraft with next-generation, fuel-efficient models. These planes weren't just environmentally friendly. They also offered cutting-edge features, like enhanced cabin comfort, better air circulation, and state-of-the-art in-flight entertainment systems. "We're not just upgrading planes," Marcus told Maya during a late-night brainstorming session. "We're upgrading the passenger experience. Every detail matters, from the seats to the Wi-Fi speed." But the fleet modernization was just the beginning. Maya proposed integrating AI-driven systems to optimize flight routes, reducing delays and fuel consumption. The technology could analyze real-time weather patterns, air traffic, and other variables to recommend the most efficient paths. "We're essentially building a smarter airline," Maya explained during an executive meeting. "One that learns and adapts in real time." The plan was ambitious, but Marcus knew it was essential. Efficiency and sustainability weren't just about cost savings. They were about positioning Horizon as a forward-thinking brand in an industry ripe for disruption. Employee empowerment in action. While the Innovation Initiative gained momentum, Marcus remained focused on the people who made the airline run, its employees. He had promised them a voice, and he was determined to deliver. The Voice of the Crew program had been a resounding success, generating thousands of suggestions from employees worldwide. One idea that stood out came from a young baggage handler named Carlos. He proposed a new tagging system that used RFID technology to track luggage in real time, reducing lost bags and improving efficiency. Marcus personally called Carlos to thank him for the idea. "Your innovation is exactly what we need," Marcus said. "Keep thinking big." The RFID system was implemented within months, leading to a dramatic decrease in lost luggage complaints. Employees took notice, realizing that their contributions were being valued and acted upon. Morale began to improve, and a sense of pride started to ripple through the company. Marcus also introduced a mentorship program that paired seasoned employees with newer hires. The goal was twofold: to foster a culture of collaboration and to ensure that the company's institutional knowledge wasn't lost in the transition to a new era. "We're building bridges," Marcus said during the program's launch event, "between generations, departments, and ideas. Together, we're stronger." Facing external challenges. Despite the internal progress, Horizon Airlines faced mounting external pressures. The low-cost carrier that had been siphoning customers away showed no signs of slowing down. They were aggressive, undercutting prices and advertising relentlessly. Every week, their market share in key routes seemed to grow. Marcus knew Horizon couldn't compete on price alone. Instead, he focused on differentiating the brand through service and experience. One of his boldest moves was introducing a subscription-based loyalty program called Horizon Plus. For a flat monthly fee, subscribers could enjoy perks like priority boarding, free checked bags, and access to premium lounges. It was a gamble, but Marcus believed it could create a new revenue stream while building customer loyalty. "We're not just selling tickets," Marcus explained during a marketing strategy meeting. "We're selling an experience, a relationship. Horizon Plus isn't just a program, it's a promise." The program launched with an aggressive marketing campaign featuring testimonials from real passengers who had experienced Horizon's improved service. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with thousands signing up within the first month. But the competition wasn't the only challenge. Rising fuel prices and global economic uncertainty loomed, threatening to derail Horizon's financial recovery. Marcus and his team worked tirelessly to find cost-saving measures that wouldn't compromise service quality. From renegotiating supplier contracts to optimizing flight schedules, every decision was scrutinized. The turning point. Months into his tenure, Marcus faced a defining moment. A severe winter storm disrupted operations across the country, grounding flights and stranding thousands of passengers. Social media lit up with complaints, and news outlets criticized the airline's handling of the situation. For Marcus, the storm was a trial by fire. He immediately assembled a crisis response team, ensuring that passengers were rebooked on alternative flights or provided accommodations. He personally appeared in a live broadcast to address the situation, apologizing for the inconvenience and outlining the steps Horizon was taking to make things right. "We can't control the weather," Marcus said during the broadcast, "but we can control how we respond. And I promise you, we're doing everything in our power to get you to your destinations safely." The transparency and accountability won over many critics. Passengers began sharing stories of Horizon employees who had gone above and beyond during the crisis, offering meals, helping families with children, and staying late to assist stranded travelers. The hashtag Horizon Cares started trending, a testament to the airline's commitment to customer service. A new horizon. As the storm passed and operations returned to normal, Marcus reflected on the journey so far. The challenges had been relentless, but the progress was undeniable. Customer satisfaction scores were at an all-time high. Employee engagement surveys showed significant improvement. And Horizon Airlines, once seen as a stagnant player in the industry, was now viewed as a company on the rise. During a company-wide town hall, Marcus addressed the employees who had made it all possible. "We've weathered storms, literally and figuratively," he said, "but each challenge has made us stronger. Together, we've proven that change isn't just possible, it's powerful. This is our new horizon, And we're just getting started." The applause that followed was deafening, echoing through the halls of the headquarters. For the first time in years, Horizon Airlines wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. And Marcus Brown, the man who had once been escorted off a plane, was now leading the company to heights no one had thought possible. As Marcus Brown stepped off the stage after the town hall, the cheers of Horizon Airlines employees still ringing in his ears, he couldn't help but feel a flicker of pride. It was the first time in years that the company had celebrated a win, not just in numbers, but in spirit. Yet Marcus knew that the hardest part of any transformation was sustaining momentum. Change wasn't a moment, it was a movement, and movements demanded relentless effort. He returned to his office to find Maya Patil waiting for him, a tablet in hand and an excited gleam in her eye. "You're going to love this," Maya said, sliding the tablet across his desk. Marcus picked it up and scanned the screen. It displayed the prototype of Horizon's next-generation mobile app, a sleek, intuitive design that combined booking, in-flight services, and a personalized travel assistant into one seamless experience. "We're calling it Horizon Navigator," Maya explained. "It uses AI to anticipate passengers' needs. If their flight is delayed, it offers instant rebooking options. If they have a connecting flight, it provides gate directions and walking times. It even syncs with loyalty rewards to recommend upgrades or perks in real time." Marcus looked up, impressed. "This isn't just an app. It's a game changer." Maya nodded. "Exactly. We're not just making travel easier. We're making it personal." Marcus leaned back in his chair, his mind racing with possibilities. "How soon can we roll it out?" "The beta version is ready for testing," Maya said. "We can launch a pilot program on select routes within 3 months." "Do it," Marcus said decisively. "And let's make sure our marketing team is ready to showcase this. The competition won't know what hit them." Strengthening the foundation. While the tech team worked on Horizon Navigator, Marcus turned his attention to the company's infrastructure. He knew that no matter how innovative their offerings were, they couldn't succeed without a solid foundation. One major focus was employee training. The new cultural sensitivity workshops and customer engagement training had been well received, but Marcus wanted to take it further. He partnered with a renowned leadership development firm to create a comprehensive program for all levels of staff, from entry-level employees to senior executives. The program emphasized Horizon's core values: empathy, integrity, and innovation. It also included modules on resilience and adaptability, preparing employees to handle the challenges of a rapidly evolving industry. During a visit to one of the training sessions, Marcus sat in the back of the room, observing as a facilitator guided a group of flight attendants through a role-playing exercise. The scenario involved a passenger upset over a lost bag, and the attendants had to navigate the conversation using the new tools they'd been given. One of the attendants, a woman named Teresa, stood up after the exercise. "You know," she said, addressing the group, "when I started this job, I thought it was just about safety and service. But this training, it's teaching me that we're part of something bigger. We're not just flying planes, we're connecting people." Marcus felt a surge of satisfaction. Teresa's words encapsulated exactly what he wanted Horizon's employees to feel: that their work mattered, that they were essential to the company's mission. Tackling the competition. Despite Horizon's progress, the low-cost carrier that had been siphoning customers away continued to loom as a major threat. Their aggressive pricing and lean operations made them a formidable competitor, and Horizon couldn't ignore the challenge. Marcus convened a strategy meeting with his executive team to address the issue. Around the table were Maya, Laura Chen, and several other key leaders. "We can't beat them on price," Marcus began. "But we don't have to. What we can do is offer value they can't match." Laura nodded. "We've already made strides with customer service and loyalty programs, but we need to double down on what makes us unique." Maya chimed in. "What if we leverage partnerships? Hotels, car rental companies, even tech firms. We could create all-in-one travel packages that make Horizon the go-to choice for convenience. That's a great start, Marcus said. But I want us to think even bigger. What about experiences? Let's offer curated travel itineraries, exclusive tours, event packages, things our competitors can't replicate. The team brainstormed late into the night, crafting a strategy that combined partnerships, personalized experiences, and exclusive perks. Within weeks, Horizon rolled out the first phase of its new initiative, Horizon Journeys, a program that bundled flights with unique experiences like wine tours in Napa Valley, Broadway weekends in New York, and adventure packages in Colorado. The response was immediate. Passengers loved the convenience and creativity, and Horizon's bookings began to climb. The catalyst. Amidst the progress, Marcus faced a sudden and unexpected test. A prominent journalist published an exposé on the airline industry's treatment of employees, highlighting long hours, low pay, and burnout. While Horizon wasn't the primary target of the article, it was mentioned, and the negative press threatened to undermine the goodwill Marcus had worked so hard to build. Rather than issuing a generic statement, Marcus took a bold approach. He invited the journalist to spend a week shadowing Horizon employees, from baggage handlers to pilots, to see firsthand how the company was addressing these issues. At the end of the week, the journalist published a follow-up article titled, "A New Horizon: How One Airline is Leading the Industry in Change." The piece praised Horizon's efforts to improve working conditions and highlighted Marcus's transparent leadership. The article became a turning point, cementing Horizon's reputation as an airline that cared not just about profits, but about people. Looking forward, as the year drew to a close, Marcus reflected on the whirlwind of changes Horizon had undergone. The company was far from perfect, but the progress was undeniable. Customer satisfaction was at an all-time high, employee morale had improved, and Horizon was once again seen as a serious contender in the industry. During a holiday celebration at the headquarters, Marcus took the stage to address the assembled employees. "This has been a year of challenges and triumphs," he said. "We've faced resistance, weathered storms, and made difficult decisions. But through it all, we've stayed true to our mission: to connect people, to innovate, and to lead with integrity. I couldn't be prouder of what we've accomplished together." The crowd erupted in applause, but Marcus didn't bask in it. He knew the work was far from over. The road ahead would be just as challenging, if not more so, but he was ready. Horizon Airlines had cleared the clouds of doubt and turbulence. Now, it was time to soar higher than ever before, soaring to new heights. As the first quarter of the new year began, Horizon Airlines was no longer an industry underdog. Marcus Brown's leadership had ignited a transformation that rippled through the organization. Customer satisfaction scores had reached record highs, employee turnover had decreased, and Horizon was gaining a reputation for its innovation and commitment to excellence. However, Marcus knew that true success wasn't measured by a few quarters of growth. It was sustained by building a company that could thrive long-term. On a crisp Monday morning, Marcus sat in his corner office, the sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Staring at the sprawling city below, he thought about the next phase of Horizon's journey. The challenges they had faced were immense, but there were bigger battles ahead. Marcus's vision wasn't just about revitalizing an airline. It was about redefining what it meant to lead in a highly competitive and volatile industry. Expanding the horizon. One of Marcus's first initiatives for the new year was to expand Horizon's global footprint. The airline's routes were largely domestic, with a few international flights to popular destinations. Marcus saw an opportunity to grow their market share by targeting underserved international markets. In a high-level strategy meeting, Marcus presented his plan to the leadership team. "The world is getting smaller, and people are traveling more than ever before. If we want to remain competitive, we need to think globally." Laura Chen, who had become one of Marcus's closest allies, nodded in agreement. "We've had a lot of interest from travelers in Southeast Asia and South America. Expanding into those regions could give us a significant edge." Maya Patil added, We'll need to modernize our booking systems to handle the complexities of international travel, different currencies, languages, and regulations. But if we get it right, the potential is huge. Over the next few months, Horizon launched new routes to emerging markets in Brazil, Vietnam, and Kenya. The airline also partnered with local carriers to ensure seamless connectivity for passengers. To support the expansion, Horizon hired multilingual customer service agents and developed region-specific marketing campaigns. The tagline for the campaign was simple but powerful: "Your world, our horizon." The response was overwhelming. Bookings surged, and passengers praised the airline's thoughtful approach to international travel. Horizon wasn't just expanding its routes, it was building bridges between cultures. Pioneering sustainability. As the airline industry faced mounting pressure to address its environmental impact, Marcus knew that sustainability had to be a cornerstone of Horizon's strategy. He assembled a task force of experts to develop a comprehensive plan to reduce the airline's carbon footprint. The result was Green Horizon, an initiative focused on 3 key areas: fleet modernization, operational efficiency, and community impact. The plan included investing in next-generation, fuel-efficient aircraft, optimizing flight paths to reduce emissions, and exploring alternative fuels like sustainable aviation fuel, SAF. One of the most ambitious aspects of the initiative was the development of Horizon's first carbon-neutral flight. Working with environmental organizations and fuel suppliers, the airline offset the emissions of a cross-country flight by investing in reforestation projects and renewable energy. The flight, dubbed Horizon Zero, made headlines around the world. Passengers on board received personalized certificates detailing the impact of their journey, and the initiative sparked conversations about the future of sustainable travel. At a press conference following the flight, Marcus addressed the media. Sustainability isn't just a buzzword, it's a responsibility. At Horizon Airlines, we're committed to leading the way toward a greener future. This is just the beginning. Empowering employees. While the external initiatives were gaining momentum, Marcus remained deeply invested in Horizon's internal culture. He believed that a company's success was built on the strength of its people, and he was determined to make Horizon a place where employees felt valued and inspired. One of his most impactful moves was the launch of the Horizon Leadership Academy, a program designed to identify and nurture talent at all levels of the organization. The academy offered mentorship opportunities, leadership training, and cross-departmental projects to help employees develop new skills. Teresa, the flight attendant who had impressed Marcus during a training session months earlier, was one of the program's first participants. Through the academy, she developed a proposal for enhancing in-flight services, focusing on creating personalized experiences for passengers. Her ideas were implemented across the fleet, earning widespread praise from customers. Leaders aren't born, they're made, Marcus said during the Academy's launch event. And at Horizon, we're committed to making as many leaders as possible. The program not only boosted morale, but also created a pipeline of talent that positioned Horizon for long-term success. The storm returns. Just as it seemed the airline was on an unstoppable upward trajectory, an unexpected crisis struck. A cyber attack targeted Horizon systems, causing widespread disruptions to bookings, flight schedules, and customer service. Social media erupted with complaints, and competitors were quick to capitalize on the chaos. Marcus convened an emergency meeting with Maya and the IT team. "We need to act fast," he said, his tone resolute. "This isn't just about damage control. It's about restoring trust." Maya outlined a 3-phase plan: contain the breach, restore operations, and implement stronger cybersecurity measures to prevent future attacks. Marcus approved the plan immediately, allocating additional resources to ensure its success. Over the next 48 hours, the team worked around the clock. Marcus was a constant presence, offering support and staying in close contact with employees on the front lines. He also took to social media, posting regular updates to keep customers informed. "We're facing a challenge," one of his posts read, "but we're working tirelessly to fix it. Thank you for your patience and understanding. We won't let you down." The transparency paid off. While some customers were understandably frustrated, many appreciated the airline's honesty and effort. Within a week, operations were back to normal, and Horizon announced a partnership with a leading cybersecurity firm to ensure such an incident wouldn't happen again. A legacy of leadership. As Horizon Airlines emerged from the crisis stronger than ever, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From being escorted off a plane to leading a global transformation, his path had been anything but conventional. Yet, every setback, every challenge, had shaped him into the leader he had become. During a leadership summit attended by executives, employees, and industry peers, Marcus delivered a keynote speech that encapsulated his vision. "Leadership isn't about avoiding turbulence," he said. "It's about navigating through it. It's about seeing opportunities and challenges and building something that lasts. At Horizon Airlines, we're not just flying planes. We're building connections, fostering innovation, and creating a brighter future for our employees, our customers, and the world." The audience rose to its feet, the applause a testament to the impact Marcus had made. The final ascent. As Marcus stepped off the stage, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Horizon Airlines was no longer just a company. It was a movement, a symbol of resilience and reinvention. The journey wasn't over, but the horizon had never looked brighter. Marcus knew there would always be challenges ahead. The airline industry was unpredictable, and the world was ever-changing. But with a strong foundation, a clear vision, and a team that believed in the mission, Horizon was poised to soar to even greater heights. And as he looked out at the skyline from his office that evening, Marcus smiled. This was more than an airline. It was a legacy in the making.